All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Readers. We are doing a major market breakdown. This is an S&P and SPY focused video. So what are we going to do today? Same thing we always do, right? We'll look at the daily and the weekly to see how things are setting up. I'll probably look at the monthly as well. Again, the monthly is not something I normally do, but on the indices, I do like to take that longer view, right? We have our 5 moving averages, these horizontal support and resistance lines, and then when we're done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, if you can please like or subscribe, it really helps with the YouTube algorithms. Nonetheless, I sincerely appreciate your time. So let's get into this. Look, obviously the story here has been break that 200 moving average and then use the 8 as a bounce, right? I mean, it's technicals at its finest. It really is, right? I often say there's no better place to be than over all 5. And again, I mean, I it's an easy trade, right? Nothing's easy. I don't want to make it sound like that, but this is a lot nicer than battling in all of this, right? And it's something I always talk about, right? So the positioning within moving averages is super important, regardless if you're looking at an indice or a stock itself, right? But yeah, just one more time, you break the last one, you tend to fly, and you tend to use that 8 as your bounce, right? Because again, nothing's gonna go right? I know memes and all that kind of changes how reviews in stocks, but yeah, things need to naturally, bounce, and we use that 8 to kind of track that, for lack of words, right? A lot of why we got stopped will be a little more obvious on the weekly, okay? So that's also another reason why we change our views. Let me just go to it real quickly, right? So on the weekly, you can see a little bit more noise, right? The 50s right here, the hundreds right here. We actually wicked to the 100, right? Is pretty much what happened. Didn't exactly touch it, but that's kind of that's how I would read that, right? When you're on the daily, it doesn't really look like that, right? You're obviously over everything. The next line we drew was here. Maybe I could have drawn one right. Oh, I could have drawn one right there actually to catch that. But nonetheless, on the weekly, I did have an idea of that 4,200 number. But yeah, where are we? This actually looks like the NASDAQ. So I do like when the indices look the same, and it's kind of doing that same curve, right? I'm okay with that. What do I want to have happen? Either bounce on the 8, right? Give me a boop and go back up. Worst case, if you're going to lose the 8, let's bounce on the 20, okay? We've only bounced on the 20 once. Multiple times you'll use that 20 a few times, all right? Especially if it's a good climb up, right? So obviously, let's stay over the 8. That's the easiest trading, and it keeps us smiling. But hey, if we lose it, we do have the 20 right here. And look, we just golden crossed the 50 on the 200, right? So it looks like the 50 is working its way up as well. So, excuse me, it's good when they're all working their way up, obviously, okay? Real quick, let's talk down here. This RSI is not too high, not too low, right? I really hope it doesn't get any lower than this 50-55 number. And again, as it comes down to that 50-55 number, that's as I see this kind of coming down and hey, maybe bouncing on this line, maybe bouncing on the 8. Like I said, worst case, I would hope it goes no lower than the 20 and really maybe around that just over 40, 80, 40, 50 range, give or take. But that would actually put us under the 8, which hopefully doesn't happen, right? Let's come to the weekly really quickly. And again, I know I flashed it, right? But a couple things to talk about here. First off, 1, 2, 3, 4, all 5 lines are in a pretty much horizontal cluster, right? I say that often. You generally go from the bottom to the top. Luckily, we didn't go all the way down, and we're still able to go up, right? So that's a good thing to see. The way you play in a cluster, sorry, let me move that. The way you play in a cluster really says how the stock's going to look, especially on the weekly, right? This is a slower moving view, right? So I'm glad when we went to the top, we didn't just crash all the way to the bottom and then maybe stalled right here. We kind of did the opposite. We didn't go all the way down and then made a quick attempt back up, right? Again, we talked about wicking on that 100, right? Have we actually? Yeah, we've made some moves on this 100, and really, this break of the 50 is pretty important. Okay, we is this, yeah, that's pretty much where we lost it right here. So this is actually the first time we're back over it since we give or take lost it, right? I know there was the first official loss here. We kind of made a quick recovery, but that's pretty much when we lost it in April, right? So hey, not too shabby. That's good to know. Let's see if we can get over the 100. And look, I was still bullish on NASDAQ. I think I still have to be bullish on S&P. As long as we're over all the 5, as long as we're over the 8, things are good, right? We'll just see how it plays with these two. Let's quickly take a look at the monthly. All right, so this is a nicer monthly than the NASDAQ has. I'll say this much. First and foremost, being under the 8 is horrible, especially on the monthly chart, right? I mean, it takes 4 weeks for one monthly. It takes 5 days for one weekly, right? This is such a slow moving chart, and it's real nice to see that this thing got over the 8, almost lost it, but then gets back. And again, still early in the month, but so far we're at least working upwards on that confirmation, which is a good thing, right? Can we get over the 20 is going to be the real big question, okay? The 20 is definitely not an easy one to get over. And really, if we can get over it now, that would be much better than failing it and watching it kind of come down as we've seen it on the weekly, right? I don't want this, right? I don't want this. And it kind of looks like that's what might be forming, right? So just kind of looking ahead, I'm generally a little pessimistic. I'm not going to lie to you. But I would hate to make this run to the 20, fail, and then fall hard, right? Because I'm talking about that on this monthly, right? It would take a couple months for that to play out, but just watch, sorry to zoom out so much, but watch what happens on this 20. That what's the number? 4215 is a pretty magic number on the S&P 500, okay? We definitely need to break it and continue on up, because just breaking it once also doesn't matter. You know that, right? And this 20 is a pesky line. So, but again, that last little bit of negativity aside, I am still overall bullish. I do expect a little bit of a cool down early in the week, but yeah, hopefully that there's places to bounce and we go up. So hey, I really hope you've made some good money. Again, look, the S&P roughly went from 38 to 40 something. That's a little less than 10%. No, I think that's bad math. Regardless, all right, it's a good percentage, but I hope you made so much more, because again, golden rule number 1, our job is to crush the market. If this thing can go up 10, 20, 30% in a month, we need to go up like 60, 90%, right? We want to double it, triple it, or whatever that number could be, right? So I do hope it happened to you. If it didn't, hey, look, it's a beautiful learning experience, and I guarantee you'll get there with time. So one last time, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming. Do more videos.